Good morning, early birds. We are starting fractions. And yesterday I told you I was going to wear my blue glasses. And then what? The next day, wearing blue glasses. Are those the messages you're sending me? Showing that you can send me messages? You can. I pick them up. I make associations. I still don't like these glasses, but much better. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. What's the day today? Yesterday I had Monday all day on that. Are you kidding me? Monday? We don't meet here on Mondays. What was that about? I don't know. You know what I call it? I call it a brain fart. That's what I call it, early birds, a brain fart. And you know what I see? I see a lot of people have brain farts out there, wondering what to do with themselves other than grabbing their behind. I don't know. Had some weirdo woman yesterday. Imagine that. Just a bunch of voyeurs, stalkers, criminals out there. What are we doing here in the classroom then? Why aren't we out there fighting crime? This is what I do, folks. I wish I could, really with those criminals. I really do. I do. I wish I had that kind of power and might. I do. Because there's too many criminals out there. Too many criminals. And you know what? A lot of them are white old ladies. Yeah, you wouldn't expect it. But they are. Trying to uphold the system of things where they don't have to satisfy their husbands. They're not good wives. That's all I'm saying, early birds. That's all I'm saying. It's day 196. I am Dr. Annette Feravich, and I know we start the day with all kinds of things, don't we? We need to do our alphabet. I think we need to do our alphabet because we are back to our 3 R's. And what are we doing today? I promised fractions. Why are we late? We're late. I'm late. I blame the crew. They were supposed to set this up. I get up here, get ready to go, 9 o'clock on the dot, actually 8:58. I was 8:54, then I kept wandering around trying to get the stuff right. Nothing set up. 8:58, nothing set up. Thanks, crew. So I have to do it myself. So that's what ended up happening. And then I took my little break, as I usually do, to take a breath right before I get on, and here I am. There. That's so much better, isn't it? It just is. It just is. Anyway, let's get going. We are doing math fractions. I want to tell you that I did do, that's a little bit of my MRSA still left here. I did do my electromagnetic therapy. And it works. I don't know why, other than there's a whole bunch of criminals trying to stop me, why my business hasn't taken off. Because it really works. It just works. We have no program in our healthcare system for getting rid of parasites. And that really is a lot of our gut-based disease, a lot of our diseases, and a lot of what they're trying to poison, basically, with their pharmaceutical medications, right? But they don't want to tell you that. It gets to be ridiculous. So anyway, electromagnetic therapy, I got rid of parasites, and believe you me, I had them. But if you spend a lifetime never taking care of parasites, 80% of people have parasites. You're going to get them from your dog, from your litter box, from your food. I'm not a very good washer of food. I'm just not. I wish I was better. I know there are sprays out there. I used to have vinegar and water in a spray bottle in my old house, but most of that stuff didn't get transported. Criminals. And so, to my sons, I love you, and we will keep on this. We're going to keep on this whole, what is this Universal Studios running the show, thinking that they own people, and that we don't have enough people who are really speaking long and loud about the way that America has just been run by criminals. And that's really embarrassing. That just is embarrassing to have a country as wonderful and self-promoting as the United States could be just a country of criminals. It must be beyond frustrating for other countries to be dealing with so many criminals. It must just be beyond igniting some real flames in people. But you know what, early birds, I did want to tell you about that. And that is that we all have our jobs to do. And there are a lot of times where I don't want to come on because I'm not getting paid for this and I'm an outstanding teacher. So just in case you're wondering, I'm not getting paid for this. No, if you think that somehow I have cash out there because they're paying me, I have no contract. I have nothing going on with anybody. As far as I know, I was illegally fired from Oakland University. That's the last of my episodes. And nobody cared about taking the case because we have no upstanding lawyers. We have very few upstanding people in general that are in a position where they can do something. But I'm not in a position where I can do anything. There's nothing I can do, right? So what do we do, early birds, when there's nothing we can do about the circumstances that we're in? We do the best we can. And this is the best that I can do, given the circumstances. But I'm going to keep embarrassing those people. I'm going to embarrass Americans who are on the side of criminal activity. And you know who you are over there in Tandy leather, grabbing your butt in front of me. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for your sarcasm. There's no reason for your ugliness, except for the fact that you are jealous. And early birds, that's the thing that ends up happening. You do make enemies when you go about your business when you can't do anything else about their nonsense and their business. That does create a sense of jealousy in other people that you can continue to move on with clarity and peace, at least some peace. I cry every day. Every day I cry. I don't have my boys with me. I don't have my family with me. And there are people who know why, and those people who know why and aren't doing anything about it, you're criminals. I stand on the side and always have of purity. Sorry, you grabbing your butt in there. You're not. You're just not. And what I mean by that is integrity. I don't care what you do in your bedroom, but if you want to act like an animal in your bedroom, I expect you want to act like an animal out there as well. And I see far too many animals. This whole attitude that we have, this acceptance of the fact that you have your DNA ingrained in just a bunch of animals? No. What I do in my bedroom should be private, and it's not. And that's illegal. So that, to me, when you have somebody who you say is working for you, who has no knowledge of any idea of even who you are, that's modern slavery. So I'm going to keep speaking out. Look at this goose egg over here. And yet yesterday I had viewers that watched the whole thing. So there's YouTube filled with a bunch of hackers. They allow hackers who are part of the criminal justice system, giving criminals justice. We're here to do math and fractions. So we also find ways to make sure that we are pointing the finger at those people that we know, in whatever way we know, are responsible. You know, my sons are fearing, as always, that things aren't going to change. That no matter how much we speak out, that they're not going to change. And that's because it's run by really a bunch of idiots. Things are being run by a bunch of idiots if they can't figure out how to be satisfied with what they have and allow everybody else to be satisfied as well. That really is just a bunch of stupidity that you can't create a system that works well for everybody, including you. So the way things are divided up, oh, what did they say on Smartless? I remember the segue something, but it's really good. And I remember that. It was like a blast from the past. As everything is. I mean, who's not totally bored with the repeats that they've got on? The reruns that they've got on? Everybody. You know, all we have to look at that about is our dry out from that type of media. So now everything boils down to people are just on their phone. They don't watch. I do the computer, the laptop. I like it. I don't want this. So everybody's a little bit different. They might not have the sales for the laptop, but I'm working, right? I use this for work. I rarely watch my TV. So we are getting detoxed from our movies. We're getting detoxed from our television. And what we're going to end up doing, not getting detoxed from our phone. So we'll have it all there in small form, right? Which some people don't mind. Some people could watch all day. I couldn't. I could not at all. I don't at all. I mean, I could, obviously, clearly. I mean, I was on my phone a lot when I had my phone. Why? Because I'm trying to figure the GD thing out. All right, we're supposed to be getting to math. Oh my gosh, I know. But there is a purpose of this, of the classroom. It's not, math and what I teach is so secondary to, again, our motto, which we don't often introduce here in our early bird classroom. But we did, didn't we? We did when we were talking about putting podcasts together, because we have to have a thesis. So even though I teach math, and even though I teach history, and even though I do wonderful DIY projects and think of myself as an artist, I still am not happy with myself when I spend money on art, because I'm a teacher. I'm not an artist, right? So what is it though? We always have to have our thesis. Would you believe? How about that? I know. You think I really do have people behind the scenes doing that. No, it's magic me. So there's our thesis for the class, and it is help explain. I have to read it, so I have to get closer. Sorry. To help explain a people. No. To help explain how a people. Oh, stop it, Annette. To help explain how a people could have developed the dedication of human liberty and dignity exhibited by the leaders of the American Revolution, and at the same time have developed and maintained a system of labor that denied human liberty and dignity every hour of the day, by Edmund S. Morgan from... oh, what was that book? American something or other. Ooh. Look it up. That's an amazing thesis statement. It's so amazing you would think that I would have it memorized by now. We've been here for how many years now in the classroom? I don't know. I should probably have some kind of anniversary celebration, shouldn't I? No, I don't need to. I've got my 196 days. All right, early birds, I already know math fractions are going to take longer than 2 days. What do you think? Let's get going. I've already got the PowerPoint up here and we are ready. That's the reason why I had to take an extra 15 minutes was because, again, the crew didn't open this up. And now I've got it all set up and ready for you. All right, so I told you yesterday that if you were... Why didn't that... What's up with the... Hey, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, it does. There we go. Okay, I told you yesterday that we were going to start by looking at reading a ruler, right? Because a ruler helps us when we're talking about fractions. We're talking about parts of wholes, right? So the whole thing. We're going to be looking a lot at pies because I like to think about or talk about fractions in like a way that we're talking about pies. Let me... Let me get this up here. Okay, because a lot of what I am going to be showing you are going to have to do with parts of wholes or lots of different pie shapes. So that's one of the ways that we can think about parts of the whole. In pie shapes. You can see I have pie shapes right there. It's not quite so large because, again, there we go. The crew didn't set things up like they should have. Nobody pays me. Nobody pays them. Same old song and dance. Yeah, not giving, yeah, whatever. I know, actually, I'll talk about it in Bookless Classroom, but this just came to my mind and I'm going to put it out there. It was Annette Feravich, my sister-in-law, who was really a complete, total white supremacist and talked about people like me being mud people. So when I was looking up some of the verbiage for the beliefs, were they Christian? Are they generally Christian? They basically made up their own religion. And so these are lots of the things I'm working on our 4 days off as well. Not so much the criminal stuff in the conspiracies behind it, but those ideas come up as I'm looking up a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching in the classroom that I see people have such a nationalistic attitude. That's not the word I'm looking for. It was from our imperialists, but also they're nationalists. I think that is the right word. Maybe that is the right word. Anyway, what I know is it was Annette Feravich, who also is likely an actress portraying herself as both men and women, my best friend and Randy's wife. I don't know. It's all so weird when you get into the freakdom. Kingdom for freaks. So I try really hard, early birds, on my 4 days off, not to do so much of that, but I do want to make announcements here. I know all kinds of people are listening to me, so I do want to make sure that I'm making announcements here, and more so that in my job that I'm doing to reestablish human dignity for all people, for Christ's sake, calling people mud people and having this whole theory that what did you do? You just threw a dart in the air and it landed on mud people? That's your theory? I mean, it's just, the ignorance of it, and also not just the ignorance of it, the degradation of human beings for your own self-promotion, it just escapes your intellect. We're being run by a bunch of retards. This place, that's what they did. They put a bunch of retards in charge, and the scientists are sitting back knowing who to blame. They wanted to line me up next. Another retard in charge. Is that you, Charles? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to think about different ways to wrap our brain around our new topic. Conspiracy theories. No! Math and fractions. Always in the back of our mind, we are always keeping, focus on what's important to get out there on a daily basis, right? While we are getting our thesis statement, inspiration, always moving in the right direction. All right, early birds, that's a lot. Another long-winded introduction. Okay. I don't have to clear my throat ever all day, but I'm not talking, right? So that's probably why I have to clear my throat all the time on here. Anyway, the MRSA is getting better, although I see that one right there. But you can tell now it's instead of like, sorry about that. I'm just saying, I've got a lot of cures for things. I do. And then they're putting me in the loony bin because of it. Anyway, parts of wholes. So we can think about it in a lot of different ways, right? We can think about it in a fun way, like these little animals here. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little animals that we have there, all right? And we can think about those little animals being parts of wholes as well. So if we were to take out one of them, we have 10 animals. If we were to take out one of them, we would have left 9 of them. 9 out of 10. Those are fractions, right? We can take more than one out, right? But they like to be together. So they like to be all together. They like to have a whole, right? All 10 of them. The whole lot of them. All 10 of them. So we think of fractions as being parts of the whole. Parts of the whole, right? Same thing. If I have 3 candles and I took one out, oh, I thought it was glued on. I would be holding 1 out of 3 candles, or 1/3, right? Okay, this is how we're doing it. This is how we do it, baby. I don't know that song, other than just what I sang to you. So, I guess I do know something about the song. Might even be Bobby Brown. I don't think so. Okay, so we are here on day... Oh, shoot. I don't have my Kleenex. Oh, yes, I do. 196, and we're talking about fractions. And so if we take a look at a ruler, that helps us. We're going to take a look at just one portion of the ruler. Now, this all came from, right there, I have the link, right? And this is from much of this that I got. These ideas came from WikiHow. I love WikiHow. Also something that I notice has been in and out of being allowed to be viewed. WikiHow. Oh, they put stuff on there like how to, so you have to take the whole site down? Yeah, it seems to me somebody was benefiting. Like cryptocurrency. We'll make our own economy. All right, so a standard ruler is measured in inches on one side and centimeters on the other. So I also wanted to give you some information about reading a ruler here. It's a great way to learn about fractions. 12 inches is usually on the ruler, and that equals what we call 1 foot. 1 foot. So if you're talking about the whole of a foot, you're talking about 12 inches, right? If you took out one of those inches, there would be 11 out of 12 inches left. All right? How many whole numbers are on a standard ruler, right? So now we are talking about inches. Inches are represented on the ruler by whole numbers. How many whole numbers do we have on a standard ruler? I want to see if I'm counting these with you. Whole numbers are counting numbers. They're counting numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many whole numbers are on a standard ruler, right? So here I can hold that up close too, but no reason to. That's a mess. I actually had my pink one out here. But then I was using this one because even though it's a mess, this is a heck of a ruler. It goes down all the way. It breaks it down into many more points than the one that you see there, or many more equal spaces than the one you see up there on the screen, right? And so I think I can go down. Oh my goodness gracious. There has to be 32, I would bet. 32 equal spaces, I would bet, on that. And we'll see. How would I know that? Well, 4ths, 8ths, 16ths, and then 32s. What? We'll keep going. So, how many whole numbers are on a standard ruler? I don't know if I actually put that in there. And I would have to stop the video to put that in there. And I will. Notice that the whole numbers are marked, demarcate. I don't think that's right. Marked by the longest line on the ruler. The longest line on any ruler is for whole numbers. All the other lines on the ruler are shorter than the whole number line, no matter what ruler you're grabbing. See how those lines, and so you could see those lines very clearly. They're the longest line for our whole numbers. So whole numbers are counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are whole numbers. We're going to break whole numbers down into parts. That's fractions. All right? I don't know if I said that here. Oh, look at that. I put it up there. So how many whole numbers are on a standard ruler? 12. Exactly. Nice job, early birds. Excellent. Find the half marks. Find the half marks. Now we're breaking our whole numbers into halves. It's as if I were to take a pie and take half of the pie. Find the half marks. A lot of times when we're breaking things into parts, what it's easiest to do is break them into halves first. So find the half marks there. They are halfway in between each of the whole numbers. Half marks, and they're also the next largest line after the whole numbers. So we are able to find those half marks pretty easily because they're the next largest line after the whole marks. I turned that blue so you could see it a little bit better, and there are all of our half marks now. You can see each half mark marks its way in between each of the whole numbers. With this half mark, the half mark closest to us right here, that half mark being less than 1. So being between 0 and 1, right? 0 is not a whole number. 0 is just 0. I don't know. You got nothing. That's all I got. Now we're going to find the quarter marks, what we call quarter marks. But quarter marks are halfway in between each of the half marks. All right? Quarter marks. So we're finding the quarter marks, and guess what? Quarter marks are the next largest line after the half marks. So can you find the next largest line after the blue line? Can you find those lines? And remember, we said they're halfway in between the half marks. You know, like that, right there. So each of those half marks, we've got more half marks than we have whole marks, don't we? Probably 24. Let's take a look at the quarter marks now. All of those I put in green, and all of those now are halfway in between each of the half marks. Okay? So we're breaking down each one of those inches further and further. Now we want to find the eighth marks because there's still marks there that are left over. So eighth marks are in between the quarter marks. And how did I know that this ruler went all the way down to 30 seconds? Because after eighth marks would come 16th. So we start with half, right? Half is 1/2. That's not what I want to do. So there is the half mark right there. 1/2. Those are the half marks, right? And so how do I know that this one has 32 on here? Well, because I know it has a lot more than this one. And so we start with the bottom number. We're going to talk about that. That's called the denominator. And we double it. 2. And then when we split half into 2, we have quarters. 2, 4. When we split quarters in half, we have eighths. 2 doubled is 4. 4 doubled is 8, right? We doubled the parts in the whole number when we broke it in half. We broke it into 4 equal parts when we broke the halves into halves. We broke it into 8 equal parts, it being the 1 inch. We broke the 1 inch into 8 equal parts when we broke the quarters into halves. 2 doubled is 4, 4 doubled is 8, 8 doubled is 16. If we break the eighths in half, we would have 16 equal parts. There's even more than that on here. Oops, centimeters. There's even more than that on here. They're broken up into even more than 16 equal parts. How many equal parts? Well, if I broke each one of those 1/16 up into halves, I would have 32 equal parts. 16 plus 16 is 32 equal parts. So that's how a ruler works. When I break it in half, I have 2 parts. When I break that half into halves, I have 4 parts. When I break those 4 parts into halves, I have 8 parts. When I break those 8 parts into halves, I have 16 parts. When I break that 16 parts, every one of those half, I will have 32 parts. That's how many parts each one of these inches here on this ruler is broken up into. 32 parts. Look at that. I can't see it anymore. Oh, you can't either. There we go. Oh, look at that. Now I'm going to go get the pink ruler and I'm going to show you it's going to be different than both of those. Hold on, because that was the ruler that I wanted to use. Okay. So here's the pink ruler. And what would you say that was broken up into? And unfortunately, this ruler I really don't like. There's the name, Westcott right there. I don't like it because it's got almost all equal lines here other than the half line. I guess I can see the quarter line there, barely. You really want to have those lines stand out because if you're measuring something that small, if you're measuring something this small, I know, looks filthy. I use it all the time. If you're measuring something, this I love, and it's nice and clean. I got this from Hobby Lobby. I bought one from or Ace, and they put the label right over the numbers, and it was impossible to get off without alcohol, and guess what ended up happening? All of those numbers came off. That is just, again, you're running your company, you're running your manufacturing company with a bunch of retards. And you know you are, so that you can point the finger at them. Okay. And so there gives us a lot of fine measurements. When you need something right down to that kind of a scale, there's rulers out there for you. And also, this gives me a square right here so that I can make sure that I'm cutting something square. So those give you an idea of the different types of rulers that you have out there, because some people really are very precise and have to be very precise in their cutting. So they need some really sharp pencils, because that big fat marker you have ain't gonna cut it when you're measuring down to these small little points. It's cool when you can get it up close like that, though, isn't it? When it's magnified like that, because you could really tell there's a difference between those marks. And some things do need to be that precise. I don't know what. I couldn't deal with it. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe more. So there are our eighth marks. I put arrows for them instead of coloring them. I put arrows there for each one of the eighth marks that are falling in between each of the quarter marks. Even though the quarter marks are green to show you the next longest line, remember we are dividing up every quarter mark, right? We're dividing up every quarter inch. And now we're dividing that in half into eighths. So that means that even if we're not dividing the green lines, we're dividing every quarter inch, which would be at the green line, then at the blue line, we divide it in half. Then at the green line again, we divide it in half. Then at the 1 inch whole number, we divide in half. Then at the green line, we divide in half. Blue line, divide in half. Green line, divide in half. Whole number 2, divide that in half. Do you understand? I think you do. Let's keep going here. Each one of those then are eighth marks. And you can see from the picture there that they really are very much divided. You can see that there's not a big difference, but there's a difference between 1/8 and 2/8. There's a difference there. And so people might have to measure something that small. Let me tell you something. The wires in some of my mechanics are far, far thinner than that. That's how they measure it. They're far thinner than these little lines in between here. They're as thin as though the lines drawn there. Some of those wires for those electronics. Oh, did it break? Did the wire snap? Did it burn out? Into how many equal spaces did we divide an inch then? Into how many equal spaces did we divide that inch? You can count them. 1, 2, 3. Those are the spaces. 4, 5, 6. We're not counting lines. We are interested in how many spaces we have, right? We're not interested in eating the lines between the pie. We're interested in eating the pieces of pie, even if they're really small. 7, 8. So if that were a pie and it were a square pie and we sliced it into rectangles, we would have 8 pieces of square pie. Which makes no sense because pies are always round and squares are squares. Into how many equal parts is each pie divided? Now we're getting into how many parts are there in a whole piece. That's what we need to understand for fractions. How many parts are there in a whole piece? Okay? So let's count. In the first one, 1, 2. Now we're doing, remember, early birds, we do a lot of lessons for all kinds of ages that are elementary school. So we're doing counting again. I remember I was a little sad having to count. My teacher was like, get over it. Do you really want to count everything? I guess not. I do not any longer. But for those younger students, this is helpful. How many, and they can understand fractions at a very young age if we let them count. 1, 2, 3. So that pie is broken up into 3 parts, 3 equal parts. Because I don't want you dividing a pie so you have the fattest piece. Do you remember Aesop's fables and that lion who took all of his share? He divided it into equal parts though. He did. But he didn't have to because he took the whole thing. The next one, let's count. How many equal parts? Do you already know, early birds? Do you already know how many equal parts you have there in that pie? I bet you do. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about the next one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What about the next one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I bet you can guess how many are in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bet you know how many are in the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 different equal parts. That's how we are going to begin to understand fractions. And now, how many parts, how much of the pie is shaded? How much of the pie is shaded? And now this is where we begin to use the slash line, all right? This actually means divide. 1 divided by 2. How many parts are shaded? In the first one, 1/2 of the parts are shaded. 1 out of 2 parts are shaded. The next one, 1 out of 3 parts are shaded, right? What's the next one? Because we counted how many parts were in each pie. So we know the bottom number. The bottom number is the number of equal parts the pie is divided into. The shaded area is the top number, called the numerator. Remember, we already know how many pieces, equal pieces, we have in that pie from the slide before this. Now what we're doing is we're counting how many pieces out of that pie are shaded. All right? So we see there now how we get what we call the numerator, the top number, and the denominator. Notice also how this has changed its position. I typed in the previous ones. So when you type, it's your fractions are going to look like that, where you type a 1 and then a slash and then a 4. So that's how your fractions look when you type. But when you write a fraction in a mathematical equation, the fraction is going to look like these fractions here, where you've got 1 on top of the line and then the denominator underneath the line. You have a number on top of the line, and then underneath it, you've got the denominator, how many pieces are in the pie. So the numerator is how many pieces are you eating of the pie? How many pieces are you coloring of the pie? How many pieces are you destroying of the pie? Whatever. Those are how many pieces. That's how we tell a fraction. It is a part of a whole. All right, we did a great job. Tomorrow, what we're going to end up doing is we are going to work with the fractions. So we're coloring the blocks in order to show the fraction that is given. All right, we will start that tomorrow, early birds, and we'll see how many worksheets we get through. We might, if I don't have a great big long introduction, which, we had 4 days off. I had a lot of time for criminal activity. All I'm asking is that the good people stand up to what is going on here. And the best way that you can do that is by not getting yourself so immersed in the problem. Go about your business, do your job, and in your job, you make sure everybody knows that you are against criminal activity. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We're here in the classroom. We learn so much. We have so much to learn. And we learn so much because we want to restore human dignity, right? It has everything to do with knowledge, and knowledge is the real power, right? So that's what they're doing. They're leaving me with no answers and acting like they're scientists. And they really don't know what they're doing because they've left it in the hands of, a lot of Nimrods. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. I'm not a Nimrod. Thanks for joining me here in the classroom. I'll see you tomorrow where we will be here for our last of our 3 days on. I think that this is, who didn't think of this schedule a long time ago? It makes you really not mind, even in the midst of a lot of struggle and trouble that is being manufactured for all kinds of people, right? To be able to still focus your attention here on getting your mind, your body, and your spirit a lot healthier. Thanks for joining me.